Before we go too
No,
far, though.
no, we are not talking about Harry and Meghan.
No, of course not. I was not even going to bring them up.
You just did. We're not
No,
doing it.
yeah, that wasn't on air. It doesn't count.
Uh,
I have a grievance with you.
what?
You have my Black Rifle coffee cup.
I know. I
And
love it.
in addition to that, I bought you two more.
I know, but they're different shape. So I love them all in their own way. I have no favorites,
But
much
you're
like
drinking
children.
out of a generic white coffee cup with no anything on it.
Oh, that's because the other ones are in the dishwasher.
Oh, so you have been using them, or
Oh, heck yeah.
Nate has.
No, I have. Nate uses the really big cups. So, like
Okay.
the huge, obnoxious ones. No,
Well, he's a dude, so
they're in the dishwasher. How are you?
doing well. Was awakened this morning by a emergency vehicle. I'm assuming a fire truck going by the street somewhere.
Hey, at least it wasn't a fire alarm at your hotel.
That's true. That thought did cross my mind. I was like, oh god, here we go. Like that was like, yeah. Like I gotta jump up and run back outside
Somebody
again.
smoking weed again.
Yeah, this place is notorious for it.
What,
So
Michigan or the hotel?
Michigan. They're more famous for their craft brewery than anything. I mean, you can't throw a rock in this state without hitting a craft brewery.
I was about
But
to say something snarky, and then I thought, I've never been to Michigan. It may be absolutely lovely.
okay, full disclosure, it is aesthetically, it's a beautiful state. I have zero problems about the scenery here as far as what anything looks like or whatever.
Cost of living is one of the lowest in the country, which is
I've heard
crazy.
the locals disparage it, but I mean that's locals anywhere are going to do that. They're going to say how bad the crime is or how bad the whatever is from the outside looking in. And obviously, I don't know the local politics or who's corrupt or who's this or that, but kind of a cool place. I
Maybe we
wouldn't mind
should move
having
to
a
Michigan when we grow up.
I wouldn't mind having a summer house here when we grow up on one of these lakes. That'd be cool.
See, I like summer in Colorado. I want a winter house somewhere. Like I want Colorado in the summer
Someplace
and
with blue
spring,
water and white
and
sand.
just someplace that I don't have to wear a parka and layers. That's
Hmm.
it. That's it.
Supposedly, and I've heard this rumor that
Don't
Oprah
tell
has
me
a house.
Michigan. Don't
Do
tell me
what?
Michigan. Michigan is
Well,
not where I want to winter.
no, 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 not winter. Supposedly, Oprah has a house over on the lake somewhere, and Muhammad Ali retired in southern Michigan when he later in his life he lived in southern Michigan. I've been near where his place was. He had like 80-acre farm over there and
Mm,
all that business. So there are some high end places the closer you get to the lake. So to the
interesting.
to Lake Michigan, yeah, there's some really nice. They call it the third coast, which I have a problem with because the real third coast is the Gulf Coast, specifically Texas, but they call the Great Lake area around Lake Michigan the third coast. And I'm like, no, 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 no. You
I
don't get the
love
credit.
our state,
Mhm.
but if you've been to
Listening.
other beaches,
Hmm. It doesn't
you
have to be
know,
it's still a beach. It's still a coast.
with lots of little tar.
South
Yeah.
Padre is nice. Now that's you don't see that at South Padre. You see that at Galveston. It's
No, but
different.
at South Padre, you have to actually, it's been many years since I've been to South Padre. I was going to say you have to like make your way through a bunch of drunk teenagers, but
Depends on when
that's
you
probably
go.
just, yeah, spring break. What's new in your world? What do you think
Oh,
about
by the way, hey
Biden's?
y'all,
Oh, hey,
we haven't introduced ourselves. I'm
I'm
Ryan.
Robin. I'm Robin.
Oh, what's new in my world?
Yeah. Did
Uh,
you watch Biden last night?
I did.
Tell me your thoughts. I see your
Uh,
face. Don't
do
hold
what?
back.
What? You
I
see
see
my
your
what?
face.
What does that have to do with anything?
You do not have a poker face.
I
What'd you
have
think?
some of the stuff. It was kind of it was short, took no questions, understand, whatever. Few things I didn't like the tone of some of the stuff he said. Like if we follow the rules, we can, we can go back to, maybe having some people over by July 4th and, potentially maybe if we listen to Dr. Fauci and the quote, follow the rules. I'm like, you put follow the rules and 4th of July in the same paragraph. That doesn't work. We have the 4th of July because we didn't follow the rules. So I'm not I was not a fan of some of that. And it's kind of one of those things where like he also claimed that, by May 1st, there would be 2 million vaccinations a day going, which is great. It's good. It's a good number. But they're already talking about herd immunity by April, and lots and lots and lots
Who's
of people
talking about
having.
herd immunity by April?
I'm hearing it on other podcasts. Other scientists and other people are talking about possibility of herd immunity by mid-April. So either, we're talking about July. If we're talking about May 1st, 2 million a day, and having enough people done, either the vaccinations are working and it's not. His tone was a little bit, and Dr. Fauci's talking about soon we'll be able to get haircuts and go back to grocery stores. And I'm like, we've kind of already been doing that. So it seemed a little out of touch. So that's just my take on it.
I didn't think he was saying follow the rules or else. I thought he was trying to unify people. He kept it short and sweet. But I thought that he was trying to compel people to do something for their loved ones and neighbors, to come together so that we could come together. I didn't feel any partisanship.
I didn't find it overly unifying. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Well, because you hate Biden and everything he stands
for.
No.
I want to be clear about this. My vitriol for Biden isn't even remotely as high and toned up as what I heard every single day of the Trump administration from everybody on the left, even before he was elected. So, no, I watched The President last night because he's the president, and I have a pretty high batting average of watching presidents, no matter who's in office. And I listened to it, and so I can form my own opinion. And I talked about this last night, and there was some stuff that kind of I physically recoiled from when he said, if you follow the rules, you might be able to have people over by July 4th.
Again, I think that's how you.
And I'm like, wait a minute, who are you to tell me who I can have over July 4th?
I think that's how you read it. Like that's your.
Well, it was my initial physical reaction.
I know, and I'm telling you, my take on it was different. I felt like, and he even said that he was looking at COVID like war, like the war footing, that we were going to make progress, we were going to come together. So I felt like it was more like he was trying to pull us in, almost like Victory Gardens in World War II. Like, if we all do this thing, we can make a difference. So you read it differently as follow the rules. I read it as let's get together, do this, and get past it. So it was short, it was sweet. People have been giving him a lot of slack for not doing something before. I think it was day 50 of his presidency. He did speak to the press the first week after he was inaugurated. And I think that we all just got used to a president who led by Twitter and wanted nothing more than to be in front of the camera. And so to have someone who doesn't lead by Twitter, who has an official Twitter account, but doesn't spend their entire day on it, and to have someone who's actually in meetings and in the office and not in front of a camera, I think we all have to get used to something different, because we had 4 years of very different. So It was short and sweet. I'm sure it'll get slaughtered today. We'll see.
Yeah,
I haven't really looked at the news.
Yeah, definitely. We had a different take on it. Of course, my bend is a little bit more independent than some folks, but that's cool. So, on a totally different subject,
We're not talking about Harry and Meghan.
No, God dang it, stop! I'm not.
You traumatized me. I'm like, we are not entertainment tonight.
Bringing up Harry and what's her name?
I'm sorry. What were you gonna say?
I don't even care about them. I would like to go hunting on the Queen's estate in Balmoral, though. That would be awesome. Are you ready for the snow event in Colorado? That's about to be happening.
I know we need the snow. Like, logically, I know we need it. I know that it has been a very dry winter, which means fires in the summer. Like, I'm already getting
people might not understand that don't live in the area, may not realize
snowpack is vitally important. It's what keeps us from burning to the ground.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if we have a wet spring or a wet summer. It's the snowpack that matters in the winter.
I didn't know that until I lived there. I didn't realize how vital the snow is.
Oh my gosh. Like, I'm already dreading. Usually I love our springs and summers and falls, but I'm dreading because I know that the wildfires are going to be catastrophic. And we live next to a mountain and a forest.
We do.
So it's actually really scary. So I know logically we need the snow, but they're talking about feet, like not foot, feet, plural.
Yeah.
Apparently grocery stores are cleaned out. Thank goodness Nate and I have enough food right now anyway, but apparently, like, if I went to the store right now, there would be no food to get because people
Right.
have cleaned it out. But
Mm.
yeah, they're looking at over 3 feet here, and then there's another storm that's
Jesus.
moving in. It's supposed
Yeah.
to be from tonight till Monday, and then there's another storm moving in on Monday, so we may not get a break.
Yeah. If you have
Yeah,
enough food for Nate, you've been to Costco or something. That's
he
crazy.
may have to. He may have to kind of slow
Throttle
down
back,
a little.
go
Yeah,
down to like 9 meals a day instead of the normal 12.
yeah, a little bit,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Cut just, need you to taper a little bit. But yeah,
yeah,
they're talking about that thing going all the way across part, like even Texas getting severe thunderstorms and lots of rain in certain areas and whatever
yeah.
else. So
The last I
crazy.
looked, it's supposed to be blizzard conditions literally for over 2 days. So, and
Dang.
then you got my daughter who's like, it'll be fine. I'm gonna go to work on Saturday. I'll get home. I was like, no, no, you're not.
No.
If you go to work, you might want to bring a toothbrush because you're gonna be there for 2 days. But
Well, that kind of affects your situation because you have not one but three dogs in the house, one of which is the foster dog. So
he's so cuddly and sweet. Yeah, I figure instead of our 4 or 5 miles in the morning that we usually do, I figure that I'll get my exercise making mazes for them. I've already decided that I'm going to shovel mazes. That'll be my workout, and then they can run through their mazes. But yeah,
so
it's going to be a muddy climbing walls mess for a few
in the
days.
backyard, you're talking about you're gonna shovel them a maze they can run through, and
Mm-hmm.
that's gonna be work.
I know. I
That's
know.
gonna be that's gonna be something else.
We're
But
gonna be
yeah,
stuck here for 3 days.
when we still had Cooper, rest in peace, when we get snows like that, he'd need to go to the bathroom, but then you open the door and he sees all that snow and he looks up at you like, "Are you crazy? I got to do this."
Not
So
today.
I had to put on boots or something and then walk out there with him. And if it was 3 in the morning, it didn't matter. You had to go out there with him, trudge
Mm-hmm.
through
Tell
there,
me he's a
getting,
good boy.
oh God. And then
I
wait while he sniffs,
remember. I took
while,
care of
while,
that dog.
while he sniffs every damn post on the fence before he
Yeah.
actually goes to the bathroom. And then you're freezing by then and then come back inside. That
It
was
must be a
Cooper.
boy dog thing because Brody does the same thing. I have to go out there with him. Like the girls, I can just put him outside for 2 or 3 minutes.
Uh-huh.
But Brody, I have to go out there, tell him what a good boy he is,
Are we back to calling
tell him
him
a good
Brody?
job. Brody, yeah,
Did that come back around
yeah,
instead of Hank?
yeah. He doesn't answer to Hank, and Brody means muscular,
Mm-hmm.
and he's a little stocky boy. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I used to have a neighbor named Brody that was also stocky. So there you go. Literally, DPS
It
state
literally
trooper. Hey,
means muscular. So
massive shout out to my former neighbor Brody.
yeah.
So
So I am semi ready for the snow. Yay, snow. Yeah.
that's cool. That's cool. Oh,
Yeah.
on that dog note though, just so people know, he's still eligible for adoption.
He is, but he needs the perfect family, and I will not let him go to
I,
anybody
I
but.
tell you what, if you adopt Brody, I'll give you Mutsy free. How's that?
Okay. No, I'm
No,
just kidding.
you
Kidding.
stopped. You stopped for a second.
No, I love that sweet little shit eater. Um,
What?
she's a pug.
I'll give you Mutsy and a crisp $100 bill. How's that?
Nate has said, because Brody is so sweet and so wonderful, and Nate has said, and I think he's only half kidding, we can get rid of the other two and keep him. I'm like, oh my God, there are people out there who would do that.
Right?
But
No,
no.
I like Bella too. Bella's a sweet dog, but
Oh, Bella is a Xanax waiting to happen. Like,
Mutsy. I
yeah.
don't,
If
I
Bella
don't
was a
know.
person, she'd be on so many meds.
You think?
That dog has more anxiety. You look at her and she looks guilty and anxious. Yeah. Yeah. She's a good girl, though. So, Friday,
It is
lots of
Friday.
stuff going. Okay. I think it's weird that there's so much important stuff going on in the world right now.
Mhm.
And conservative media is up in arms about Cat in the Hat, which was kind of a made-up controversy. Sold more books for the Dr. Seuss Foundation than they have sold in decades.
Mhm.
So good job, conservative media.
Mhm.
But they're up in arms about all these small things, and there are really big things going on in the world right now. Stimulus package passed.
Yes.
from Senate to House to Biden, and they're
Everyone.
saying that
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
they're saying direct deposits could start this weekend on the $1,400. There's a lot in that. A lot.
On that note, this is funny. One of our friends, I can't remember who it was, posted on Facebook last. I mean, like immediately after he signed it, it was like everybody stop checking your accounts. It's not going to be in there yet, or something like that. It was like, I mean, he signed it whatever time he signed it. If it was like
Right.
4 p.m. or whatever it was like
So
4:05. Yeah,
right?
stop checking your account. It's not there yet.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they're going to be quick though. They're going to start over the weekend, so we'll see. But that's only part of it. They're saying $300 a month child tax. So, and this is the thing. When I first saw it, I was like, "What the heck?" They're giving $300 per month per child, and I think a little extra if the child is under 6, as direct deposits through 2021.
Are you talking about people getting a check in their checking account?
They're
300 a
getting
month?
direct deposit. Here's the thing. They're just switching it from a tax credit
Mhm.
to money that will be spending power.
Not heard this. No, you're saying, forgive me because I have literally not heard this. I've got 3 children, whatever, all under the age of 10. Say, I'm going to be getting $300 a month per child coming in
Mm-hmm.
from this.
Yeah, for 2021.
I've not heard this.
Yeah, and I think it's under 17. I could be wrong, so feel free to correct
Damn,
me.
I'm 1 year out from that.
But here's
Why
the
did my
thing.
son have to turn 18?
But here's the thing. You got a tax credit.
Right.
You got a write-off for
Mm-hmm.
him on your taxes. Mm-hmm. So they're just switching it from a credit at the end of the year on your taxes to money in your pocket. Everybody knows money in your pocket has more spending power.
You know,
still
it's
not
funny.
enough to make me want more kids.
I know, hell no.
I know. But I'm curious. And when I first read it, I think I read something incorrect and it said there was no expiration date. And I was like, okay, now we've got an issue. But if a large portion of our children live in poverty, then if this is enough to put food on the table and pay rent or mortgages and keep them from getting evicted, then
if that's what it's used for. I had an interesting conversation a couple nights ago with a guy that owns a business, and he was talking about his employees, the way they get paid, you know, as far as they're filling out their taxes, or how he did deductions, but at pre-employment or whatever. And some of them were like, you know, if you do your taxes a certain way, if you file your deductions a certain way, you get an extra whatever it is per month in your paycheck. Or if you do them another way, you'll get a big return at the end of the year. And some of them want that big return at the end of the year because they think they'll just, you know, spend that money throughout the year on stuff. And he's like, you get that big income tax return, you're going to spend it on stuff. You're going to buy rims and stuff you don't need anyway, stereos for your car, crap like that. Right. So it just kind of depends on how you look at it as to, I'm not as aware of the 300 a month or whatever it is amount going to people with kids. I'm not against it necessarily. I get that we've been through a pandemic and all that. I doubt seriously that it was given a very hard look, knowing what I know about corruption and how things get taken advantage of with government benefits and all that.
I think it's literally just switching it from a deduction to money, infusing money into the economy directly on a monthly basis versus April 15th is my understanding. Because at first I was like, what the hell? But I think it is simply just moving it from one column to the other. So it's going to feel like more to people.
Most likely. Yeah. So.
Yeah. If it was permanent, I would be worried that it's incentivizing having 6 kids, but each his own.
Like the first time we ever did this in 1960, whatever that was. So
that'll be interesting. 1.9 trillion. A lot of it's going to small business. It's going to mortgage holders. There's, I'm sure, a lot of waste. Even Democrats have said it may be too big, but they would rather be guilty of too big than too small.
Well, there's
after a year pandemic.
There's plenty of federal government agencies we can cut back on. So, I mean, we can make up for the too big. They just want to do the work.
Well, and we can say it's too big, but right now in Congress, Republicans are pushing through repealing estate tax, which would, interestingly enough, 1.9 trillion is a magic number for government bills. So the estate tax that they're wanting to cut for estates over a certain amount, mostly
Mhm.
billionaires, you know what it adds up to?
I'm, um,
$1.9 trillion.
the 1.9 might be, excuse
I
me,
think it's just because two sounds bigger. So it's like the
they
guy coming
did that.
home with his new thing
Yes,
and he tells his wife it was $100 instead of $200 because
they
it's
polled that
299.
number. Exactly right. Somebody did a soundboard. They ran a poll on what sounds like more money, and you can get away with saying 1.9.
Yeah.
Like if you round down, it's kind of like when some guys buy a gun and they tell their wives it costs about X amount of dollars. Well, it might have been 100 more than that, but it was about, you see.
Yeah.
So
And
it
so
doesn't
that's the
sound
1.9
horrible.
trillion.
Yeah.
So even though there's a bill out there, there's also Republicans wanting to do a tax cut literally for billionaires, 1.9 trillion. So
Hmm.
we should all be paying attention to stuff. Speaking of Republicans and Democrats, we were talking about the filibuster, and people aren't paying attention to filibuster. Democrats would like to get rid of it,
Mm-hmm.
but Kristen Setma, I'm going to slaughter her name again. I'm telling
The one
you,
from Arizona.
Sinma,
It's spelled like
cinema, but
cinema,
with yeah,
but I'm
it's
not sure that's how it's said.
Kirsten Sinema,
Right.
and Joe Manchin have been the two Democrats holding out against getting rid of the filibuster. But I don't think a lot of us realize the last filibuster that I'm aware of that was truly a filibuster was your man Ted Cruz in 2013. He went
Mm-hmm.
for 21 hours. He was one of the longest filibusters out there.
Right.
Um, but since then, they've kind of defanged the filibuster and they've just been using it for years effectively as a threat. Like instead of actually requiring a senator to feel a little pain and make it hurt and talk for 21 hours without sitting down or taking a bio break, they've just been threatening. If
Good
you don't
word.
let us do this, or if you don't table this, then we're going to filibuster. So
Right.
it's literally just been the threat. So Sinema and Manchin have been the two Democrats who would vote no, we won't get rid of the filibuster. But now Manchin is coming over. I'm not sure about Kirsten Sinema, but Manchin is coming over and saying he'll keep the filibuster if we make it a filibuster again. Not just the threat of, but you actually got to get your walking shoes on and talk for several hours. You can't sit down. You can't take a break. You cannot stop talking. So
Right.
he's saying that he'll vote to get rid of it in its current state, but keep it as it used to be. So that's
as
interesting. That
I
could change a lot.
as I understand it, as far as Joe Manchin goes, and this is going from memory, and I have not researched this, that his position has more to do with the former senator from his state,
Robert
Senator
Byrd.
Robert Byrd. I started to say Joe Byrd. Sorry, Robert Byrd, because Robert Byrd put a rule in there about the filibuster, and I honestly don't remember which direction it went when he put that in there. If
Robert
it was
Byrd
one of,
has one of the 5 longest filibusters.
yeah,
So,
so it had something to do with the Byrd rule, and the U.S. Senate, you can stand there and literally read children's stories or read out of a phone book during a filibuster. You don't have to stay on topic. And I do know the state of Texas Senate, you do have to stay on topic. And if you finish, you're done. So, like you said, a bio break, good word, by the way. Um, you go to the bathroom or eat or whatever, you're done. So,
sorry, dogs.
oh, okay, four-legged interruptions. But
Nate must be
yeah,
up.
Joe Manchin may have a little bit better memory than some because the last time the Democrats ran the Senate and they changed the rules under Harry Reid, they changed the rules to be able to let Supreme Court nominees get in with just a 51 count vote, and then they lost the Senate, and Trump was able to put 3 people in the Supreme Court with just a 51 count vote. And Joe Manchin may actually remember, hey, wait a minute, if we change the rules for us, then when the other guys are in charge next time, those rules are still there.
Again,
And
though, I don't think that I don't, I think he's saying let's keep the filibuster in its original state. Like, let's, instead of using the threat of you better do what I want or else and giving the minorities in Congress more power, I think he's saying, all right, like we can get rid of the threat, but you're gonna have to filibuster. And looking at Ted Cruz's filibuster, it's kind of funny. It was 21 hours. He did read Dr. Seuss.
mhm,
That's a little
you can do that in the U.S. Senate,
yeah.
completely legal.
No, he did read Dr. Seuss. He also quoted much of Duck Dynasty.
Is that right?
Yeah, I'd
I
say
know he's a
he was
fan of
appealing
what's the book?
to.
I never read it. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I know he's a fan of that book, but I've never read that. It wasn't my thing.
What does that have
But
to do with Duck Dynasty or
yeah,
Dr. Seuss?
I just know he's a fan of the book, so it just happened to know. I didn't know if he read out of that one or not. So
I didn't read anything that he read out of that, so that was out of left
quoted
field.
Duck Dynasty. It's like what Uncle Si said. I'm an old sea average man myself. So
I have no idea. I've never watched it. My daughter
you
thought Duck Dynasty was a show about motorcycles. I was like, it's called Duck Dynasty, right?
okay?
But
So I saw it early on, and it was pretty funny and pretty good. Now after a while, it got kind of
hey,
repetitive, and
your camera is shaking like crazy.
I got tired of seeing. It's because my leg is shaking because I've had a lot of caffeine this morning.
Okay, sorry, that was like
Um,
making me seasick.
yeah, after a while, it got kind of repetitive, and I got kind of tired of seeing rednecks and camo on TV all of the time that you couldn't understand what they were saying. So, but I digress.
Yeah.
So,
So it'll be interesting to watch the filibuster. We got the filibuster, we got the stimulus package, we got the PRO Act. You didn't even know about the PRO Act yesterday. I'm telling you,
uh,
big stuff is going through and being voted on, and people aren't even paying attention because they're paying attention to Meghan and Harry and Dr. Seuss.
I haven't heard of the Dr. Seuss thing in a while now. They're talking about the vaccines and the Biden thing today on the news. I turned on the TV this morning, um, and Cuomo and some of that, but
Exactly. But
the
PRO
PRO Act
Act is
thing.
big.
PRO Act is a big deal. You want to tell people what that is?
It's has it passed the House yet?
I don't believe so. Or if it
Okay.
has, I'm not aware of it.
It is a pretty sweeping act that's pro labor. It gives
Mhm.
unions a lot more strength than they've had in years. And unions are pretty far reaching. Like people think of them just for,
I'm so I'm sorry. It has passed the pro. The House did pass the PRO Act.
okay,
Uh,
so it goes to the Senate.
yes, yes. It seems
So it,
unlikely to pass the Senate though, from what it says.
yeah, unless they get rid of that filibuster. Um, yeah, so this is where things matter, but it gives unions quite a bit more power than they've had in a while.
Hmm.
And I'm just giving like a really high level, easy explanation. It
Hmm.
also, people who have been paying attention, there's some verbiage in the act that's pretty controversial for contractors, because there are a lot of companies that take advantage of contractors. They
Yes,
have
there are.
contractors as employees, and we
Hmm.
all know big companies that do that.
That's huge in my
And
industry.
yeah, and so it actually requires companies in certain circumstances to make those contractors employees.
Right.
Which, if you are a contractor by choice because you're freelancing, that's one thing.
Right.
But if you are a contractor because companies are too cheap to pay what they're supposed to, and I know they pay a higher wage, but they still come out on the winning side when they don't have to pay your health insurance, your disability,
Right.
your workers' comp, when they don't have to pay all those things, it's a win for companies. So basically, they're saying if you are literally doing the job the company employs people for,
Hmm.
you're an employee. So a lot of
So,
people are up in arms about that, but there's some fine points to it.
so in my industry, and I want to be clear, I am not now a contract employee. I am an employee. I have health benefits. I have, I get salary, whatever, whatever. I have been contract before for certain companies who were wildly afoul of IRS rules on contract employee, like requiring they would require weekly meetings, and you had to march to their tune on the way you did things
You
and do
were an
this and do that.
employee. Like when
Yeah.
I met you, you were
So
literally an employee, but you were being paid as a
yes,
contractor.
when I was working in Pecos, Texas for a company, I'm not going to name, I don't even think it's in business anymore. They were, yeah, requiring stuff, and people were kind of raising an eyebrow that had been in the industry longer than I have. We're like, this isn't contract.
Yeah,
You can't require a contract employee to be at a weekly team meeting,
right.
things like that. So, and it was kind of one of those things. If the IRS ever got their head up about it and really wanted to look into some of that, there were a lot of companies, and I'm told it's big in the medical. I don't know this personally,
It's
but
big
I've
in
heard
a
it.
lot of industries.
Yeah,
And so
nurses get done that way a lot. I'm
yeah,
told.
yeah.
So,
So the people who are against it are saying that it's going to decimate side hustle, gig economy jobs. And I think when I look at the fine print, So there's this thing called the ABC test. This is what was such a big deal in California. And actually, this would be something interesting to talk to Charles Hodges about,
Oh
because
Lord.
truckers um, are often contractors. So he would actually have probably a very interesting take on it.
I
But the
believe he is a
ABC,
contractor. I'm not 100% sure on that. I think he's
no,
independent.
but if he isn't, I bet he has been, and if he hasn't been, I
Right.
bet he knows people who are. Like that's
Sure,
actually
sure,
one of the things.
sure. I'm not 100% sure on his status.
So there's something called the ABC test, and the thing that a lot of people are bothered by is the B part of it, and that is guidelines on the question of an independent contractor versus an employee. Like, are you doing a job that the company requires? Like, if you are an Uber driver and
Hmm.
you're a quote unquote contractor, Uber is the business of driving, so it fails that B test. This was a big deal in California, and they ended up voting it down. Even Democrats ended up voting it down because it would have destroyed that entire industry.
Yeah,
Because Uber would have shut down in California versus taking everybody to employee status.
I'm torn on the whole Uber thing because it's kind of like I kind of like that. I like that that one is a contractor thing, so you can kind of do it on the side, do your side hustle and whatever else.
Right.
So
But Uber needs to make sure that they take care of their contractors so it's not an issue. But I would actually be really curious. We should ask Charles what he thinks of that. But yeah, it's that B part of the test that people are hung up on. So I'm betting it won't get through the Senate, but not in its current state.
yeah, it's gonna have to. It'll be reworked and reset. I'm kind of torn on some of that. The unions, as far as giving them more power. I'm currently in a very strong union state, but I've actually heard anti-union sentiment since I've been here. It's kind of weird. So I personally, growing up, my dad was in the union because he worked for the railroad. So it was, but and that was in Texas, which was really odd. You just didn't see that
Yeah.
then. But it's kind of depends on how you look at it.
You can love or hate unions, but unions are why we don't have 8-year-olds working in factories and why we have 40-hour work weeks for most industries. Like unions.
And that is true. That is true. But that was true 100 years ago. It is also true that, and I heard this from commentators when I was in Michigan the first time. People talking in Detroit. I was in Detroit when they declared bankruptcy. It was the unions declaring that these companies have to keep paying massive benefits to employees well past the time they can afford to do so, that all the auto industry is now in Mexico and China. It's
Right.
just, you can't keep soaking the companies to pay. You can retire from as a UAW worker from the auto industry at 55 years of age. You're still making 80% of your salary plus benefits plus education plus a whole bunch of other stuff. A laid off auto worker a few years ago was the best gig in the country because they were making so much money and they would pay for your education, but the first $2,500 of every General Motors car sold had to go to pay for benefits for their retirees, and that's not sustainable on the long term. It's just not.
I was gonna say that's not the case today. So
No, well, so the problem, so the companies figured out, hey, we don't have to do this. We can move these companies to south, to non-union states, move them to the south or move them to Mexico, and we don't have to deal with it. And they shot themselves in the foot with that. So the unions definitely, I see the point. Yes, that's why we have weekends and why 8-year-olds don't work. I get that, but those benefits came in a long, long time ago, and then they shot themselves in the foot when they overran their headlights. So they definitely have. Now, I definitely see the point for their need in certain cases, and the whole contract versus, and like Amazon and Walmart, for instance, we've talked about those two companies. I think it's hilarious that they're kind of getting torpedoed by their employees trying to unionize. I say hilarious. It's just hilarious because I hate Walmart, but and I'm ambivalent towards Amazon, but I'm just kind of watching
I
and waiting and
think
seeing.
I've made my opinions on Amazon strong. I think I've made them known.
I like
Um,
Amazon. I like Amazon, the website, and how I can order stuff and whatever else. I don't like, what's his name? Is it Bezos?
I hate everything about Amazon, but I do like some of the TV shows that they have on their Amazon Prime.
There
But
you go.
I hate Amazon. And everybody orders blindly on Amazon, but when you price check Amazon, sometimes things are cheaper, but I actually price check things and sometimes they will be literally 300% more on Amazon.
Also
Like I think
true.
that Amazon has gotten enough people hooked on them that people
Hmm.
don't price check. And so you are getting robbed on
I've also
Amazon.
seen you go look if you want to look an item up. Let's say you're interested in a particular brand of flashlight, just something off
Mm-hmm.
something you might need, and you go look it up, and the price is 19.99, right? And then you decide, well, I'm not gonna get that today. I'll look at it later. You go back and look at it 12 hours later, and the thing is like
Oh yeah.
39.99.
No, they literally price change. Like
Yep.
they Amazon is creepy in that they know what you
Mm-hmm.
actually really want.
Exactly
So
right.
hey, I gotta go. I gotta walk
What?
dogs before the storm hits.
Yeah. I think the trick will
We
be.
didn't even start talking about gun bills
Oh, I can
and
talk all day about that.
yeah, we'll come back
Um,
to that.
all gun control is wrong. I would, if I were you, for the next several days, just don't feed or water the dogs at all, so they don't have to go to the bathroom during the snowstorm. Does that work?
That sounds really
There's
smart.
there's no in go, there's no out go.
That sounds really smart and
You
like that
think?
would work really well.
Really well with
Yeah.
Mutsy, I believe.
Yeah. Thank
Yes.
you for your TED talk.
See me for more tips on how to take care of your dogs.
Ugh.
All
All
right,
right.
y'all. Well, as usual, Robin is correct.
Ryan is right. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.